Big B Show's on the air. Hey, listen. So one of the things that we've been discussing lately is obviously commodities. Gold being one of them, and gold, of course, is in favor, and then it's out of favor. It's considered a hedge against inflation. But I'll tell you what, I believe if you could be at the right place at the right time if you start paying attention to gold. We started paying attention to gold mainly because we met this gentleman by the name of Jonathan Awde. Jonathan is the president, CEO, and director of a company called Dakota Gold Corporation. Dakota Gold Corporation. Their stock symbol DC on the New York Stock Exchange American system. You can go to Dakota Gold. Corp.com. That's easy for you to say. But we've interviewed gold companies in the past, but we hadn't for a while until we started talking to Jonathan. And it really piqued our interest because we got a ton of email after he was on the air, just generally bringing the subject up. So we have him back today, and I'm glad to say I think we're going to have him kind of on a regular basis. Jonathan, great to see you again, man. How are you?
Pleasure to be here. Thanks very much.
Good. Hey, listen, give us a top down, because when we first started talking to you, you were sort of dead set on what was going to happen with gold, going forward, considering the inflationary times. Now you've got this global economy that we're in that's being affected by Russia and a number of things. At the same time, we've got noise coming out of Washington. We've got noise coming out of China. Gold seems to be a thing we should be leaning into now. Give us a top down on where you're at with what you think the gold markets are going to be like in the next, let's say, 6 to 18 months.
Yeah, look, the Fed is committed to bringing inflation down to the normal band of that sort of 2 to 3%. I think it's going to be a challenge for them to do so. So this whole rates higher for longer, I think is sort of a narrative that is wreaking havoc on the gold market. It's been a challenging sort of 2 or 3 months for the gold space, but 1910 is still a great price. And with what's happened to the gold equities, as a contrarian, it's an interesting time to look at the gold market.
Well, not to interrupt you. So in your opinion right now, and you are a contrarian in some respects with market functions and so on and so forth, but with gold, as you know, gold comes in and out of fashion. I believe we're pre-peak once again in gold. I think we're right before the hits the fan with respect to where people are going to need to be into gold. How accurate am I on that sort of assessment?
Look, I think you're spot on. I think it's everything that's happened. Macro U.S. politics, election coming up next year, what's going on with the conflict with Russia and Ukraine, all the sanctions against them. I don't know how the U.S. gets inflation back to 2%.
Yeah.
And there's major conflicts are really good at disrupting supply chain. Yeah. And supply chain disruptions are really good to reinforce inflation.
Okay, let's talk about Dakota Gold, because that's what's the real story. Your projects in South Dakota are something to raise your eyebrows about in a positive way. Talk about what you guys are up to.
Yeah, so for new listeners to this, Dakota Gold's flagship asset is called Maitland. It's in the Homestake District in Leeds, South Dakota. It's contiguous with the largest gold mine in the history of the U.S. We've made 2 discoveries this year. We've got 4 drills active on the project, and we're drilling on private land. We're fully permitted, and it's been an exciting few months for us. And look for additional drill results from our Maitland project and also our Richmond Hill project. So very active year for us.
Jonathan Awde is the president, CEO, and director of Dakota Gold Corporation, stock symbol DC for our radio audience. We'll put that up there on our website, bigbizshow.com, but their website, dakotagoldcorp.com. Talk to us about your leadership team. We haven't talked much about management, and I keep on getting emails about you guys. A lot of people are obviously positive about it, but I'm going to let you take that over and talk about your leadership team there.
Sure. So Dakota is led by our 2 co-chairs, Dr. Bob Quartermain and Steve O'Rourke. Bob Quartermain is a bit of a legend in the Canadian mining space. Created 2 companies from basically nothing that went to multi-billion dollars, with his most recent company called Pretium being taken out by Newcrest for $3.5 billion. And Bob is the largest shareholder of Dakota Gold. Steve O'Rourke was former head of global exploration for BHP in their petroleum business. Lives in Rapid City, wonderful influence and resource, lots of experience. And then technically you've got Jerry Aberley, last mine manager at Homestake before it shut down. And then Vice President of Exploration, James Berry, who was a part of the home stake team that made the discovery that we actually have on our project. And we just hired Patrick Malone from Barrick, who was running their closure group. Patrick is our chief sustainability officer, so it's a great team.
Jonathan, with respect to the projects that you were drilling that you started last spring, what are the results looking like so far? Are you allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, so we announced a major discovery on May 4th, which is in Homestake Formation, which is the same host to what Homestake was mining 40 years ago. And this is over 3.5 miles north of the old mine. And when you look at pictures of core from our discovery to what was, they were mining, it's the same stuff. It looks exactly the same. So really encouraged by that. We're really trying to focus in on this now. And the first discovery we made back in February, we are expanding that as well. So the drilling is going very happy.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we talked about prior to this was what you were most looking forward to in 2023 and some of those catalysts. Can you continue to talk about some of the catalysts coming up for the company and what we're looking forward to most? I realize you're CEO of a publicly traded company, so you can't tell us everything, but I'm sure you can pull the covers back on a little bit of it. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so at our Maitland project, again, that's contiguous with the Homestake mine, we're really focused on expanding these two discoveries. One is called Unionville. It's in a younger package of rocks, quite shallow. And the other is called the JB discovery, which is in the same host to what Homestake was mining for 40 years. So really excited to start to put some dimensions and scale around these two deposits. And we're also optimistic that we're going to make additional discoveries at Maitland. And on our Richmond Hill project, we are moving towards coming out with a maiden resource in Q1 of 2024.
Good stuff. Jonathan, can't wait to get you in San Diego. It's not a big ask here, buddy. Weather's pretty nice. We'll be talking more about Dakota Gold as we keep going here. But Jonathan Awde, great guest, our gold expert here on the program. All right, more Big Biz to come. BigBizShow.com. Follow me everywhere at Sully Speaks Money. We've got 100,000 followers there. We got 3 million active views. We'll start posting some stuff up there after the holiday here. It is the Big Biz Show. Stand by.